Welcome and welcome back to WatchAdvisor, and today we are at Cleef Arpels in Geneva. I would say we have now a tradition.
Yes, absolutely, and this is good. So
to meet once a year,
yes.
and to speak about Cleef Arpels novelties.
Yes.
I am today with Maryna Bernard, who is Director of Research and Development Watches with Cleef Arpels. He is a great storyteller, a well-known watchmaker, and just a great person.
Thank you.
Don't forget to subscribe and to hit the bell to get our latest notifications.
Maryna, if you look at the novelties this year from Cleef Arpels, of course, what is the main idea behind them?
We presented some novelties, and I would say the umbrella saying is that we talk about astronomy. Mm-hmm. Astronomy is important because astronomy is a subject, is an idea we talk about since the beginning of the Maison. In the first year, already a brooch of a crescent moon was created. So we keep on actually dreaming about the heaven with the stars. If you see in the booth also, it was like an astronomer's, poetic astronomer's environment in which we presented our novelties. So there's one watch which is talking about the moon phase. There's another watch talking about a love story, which actually starts on Earth and then it actually switches over into heaven, but I will talk about that a little bit later.
By the way, we were visiting the booth of Cleef Arpels, so please go to our grand tour during Watches and Wonders to the point where we are also looking at the astronomical booth of Cleef Arpels. I would like to go to the midnight Jour, Nuit phase de Lune. It seems to be very effortless, but it's for sure not like this. I know Cleef Arpels. So what was the hardest part to achieve to make the watch work?
You know that the watch is based on an idea of the Lady Arpels Jour, Nuit. It's a watch where you have, like, you're on Earth, half of the dial is actually a representation of the Earth not moving, and behind you have a disc actually spinning. And on that disc you have the moon, you know, and the sun, and they actually move around. So you have the moon coming up, you know, and the moon's going down, and then the sun is coming up, and so on and so on. And we took this idea, this watch, actually to push it a little bit further, because on the Lady Arpels watch, the moon actually is always a full moon. Mm-hmm. And we thought, oh, that would be nice to actually integrate a real moon phase into that watch. So actually we started developing, and then we realized very quickly that a moon phase watch, you might even be interested in the moon phase when the moon is not visible in this watch, because it's right behind the Earth. Sun is up, moon is down. So what's the moon phase? In French, there's a saying, c'est demander la lune, which means, also works in English, I ask for the moon. So I ask for something impossible. So we try to make it possible to ask for the moon. So to be able to bring out the moon briefly, to be able to have a look at the moon phase at daytime, during daytime, that the moon is going back. Now, the moon phase is created. We have two discs. There's one disc turning in 24 hours, right? Mm-hmm. The night and day disc. There's an opening in that disc. And underneath, it's a second disc, which spins a little bit slower. It turns in 24 hours, 16 minutes, and 27 seconds. So it's a little bit slower. And this speed difference between both discs actually creates the moon phase change. Yeah. Very slowly. So when the moon is going up, coming up in the evening, and when it's going down, the moon phase actually changed. Like in reality also we don't have a jumping moon, so it's a sliding moon, right? Yeah. In reality, of course. So here is the same. So the moon actually is changing constantly, but you can't see it. But you can see the difference between in the evening and what goes down in the morning. Now think about it. When now the moon is hidden, and you ask for the moon with the automaton, using the automaton. We spin both discs, whole tour, so you might think he would add 24-hour worth of moon phase change, but you don't. And this is actually the thing we had to think about a long time. So how to be able to show the moon on demand without changing the moon phase at that moment?
That's a good question.
Yeah. So actually we did it. I give you the trick. Yeah. So we use two differentials. So we actually have one stream actually turning the 24-hour disk, and in that gear train we have one differential. And actually you can actually push and integrate a whole rotation on top of that. We do the same for the other disk, which is turning a little bit slower. There also is a differential. So we can actually add in both a 360-degree rotation on top of their normal speed. So actually what happens then is when you ask for the moon phase, say at 10 o'clock in the morning, so the moon is coming up, it's going down. This takes about 10 seconds. And during these 10 seconds, well, time passed, 10 seconds passed. So actually the moon phase is not going back exactly where it was, but it goes back where it was, plus 10 seconds of night and day change, plus 10 seconds of moon phase change. So it's mathematically perfectly precise. And this was actually the biggest issue, the biggest challenge we had to solve on this watch.
Typical Van Cleef Arpels knots. So there is a challenge, but we will solve it. Thank you, Rainer, for explaining this complication. I would like to ask you about the second main piece. I would say from my point of view, it's midnight, heure d'ici, heure de l'heure. By the way, I like the name very much. The second zone time is very pragmatic.
Yes.
But how do you transform it into something more expressive? I know that behind the watch there is a massive research and development process, and there is something special about the dial and textures on it.
Yes. So first of all, heure d'ici means time here, which is indicated in an opening and an aperture on the top part of the watch. It's a jumping hour. And then you have a minute retrograde hand going up to 60 and then jumping back. So this is the heure d'ici. So time here. And then there is a time somewhere else, heure d'ailleurs. And so this time zone, you can actually set to the time zone you want. For example, say you're going tomorrow to Tokyo. So when you arrive to Tokyo, you set the time here, the Tokyo time, and then you will set the time here for Geneva. So you can always see what time is it, where your family is, where your friends are, etc., etc. So this is the idea. So it's actually a watch indicating two time zones, but without being overloaded and without having the aspect of a very scientific watch, because normally these watches have a 24-hour additional indication. So it looks really complicated. And we thought we actually bring it back to the essential, heure d'ici, heure d'ailleurs. The dial also is very specific because actually when you look at it, it's very asymmetric. First of all, the name is written heure d'ici, heure d'ailleurs on the dial. And it's for the first time a dial in enamel. And we used a new technique that we actually came up with. So in the center, you have the same little elements actually that you can find in our hallmark. It's like this geometric element, and you have many of them. And this enameled piece is made by some sort of stamping of the enamel. So we create this color, and then you take out red hot enamel and you actually squeeze it. It's like, in a simple way said, maybe waffle making, right? You have this red hot enamel and then you squeeze it and you actually print this pattern on this enamel. And then on the outside, we have this sun rays guilloché towards the outside, and then the two bananas holding the indexes, and on the other side the name. And then the dial is composed out of these elements. One little element, the center part is a little bit thicker than the outer part because it's like kind of see-through enamel. When it's thicker, it has, even though it's the same material, it looks darker.
Yeah.
So then to have the right color, so we have to use two different colors, base colors of enamel, in order to have the thicker part in the center and the finer part around. Well, when they assemble, that they look exactly the same color. And when you look at it, when you look a little bit in the light, it goes from sometimes be nearly black, dark black, and it goes into brownish, like reddish type of sparkles.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
is so vivid. The style it's amazing.
I've seen this watch during the presentation at Cleef Arpels booth, and I couldn't also figure out the first glance which color is it. It was black, it was brownish, it was
Yes,
reddish,
exactly.
so very interesting. Raina, the storytelling
Yes.
is very important in high watchmaking, and particularly from my point of view for the new Lady Arpels Retrouvailles and Raconter. Please tell us a bit more about these two exceptional timepieces.
Yes, I would say for us it's more than important, say the storytelling. The watch actually tells the story. It's not the storytelling important for the watch, but the watch is actually created through storytelling, because at the beginning we have an idea. Either we transform this idea then into a story and we write a storyboard for an idea which we invent, or we find stories that have been told for many, many, many years, so in the past. So this is the two ways where we actually find stories and create them, or actually rewrite stories in our way. So in the center for these watches is a story, and it's a love story. You know that we like love stories in the Maison, because the Maison was founded on a love story. So it's a love story of a princess. It's called Vega, and she's a waver girl. And you have this human mortal person, Altair, who is actually a shepherd. And they fall in love. They meet on Earth, and this is the first watch. So rencontre means to meet. And so they meet on Earth. It plays at night, you see the moon. And you see both of them meeting and falling in love at that moment. And of course, we actually tell the story through the different métiers, the craftsmanship that goes in there. It's really important. So it has many, many layers. It's very 3D. And you can see the two lovers out of gold, diamond set, with a lot of pliqué à jour, enameling techniques that we master. So and then they're in love and they kind of not do their duties anymore. And Vega's mom is not happy about that. She's the goddess. So he's dying, and then they are both in heaven. But once per year, actually they can meet. And she actually said, okay, I put a big barrier between you, which is the Milky Way. So you can see the both stars on both sides of the Milky Way in the center Milky Way. But once per year, a flock of magpies arrive and they create this bridge. And so Vega and Altair can meet once per year on the 7th moon month and the 7th day of this month. They will meet and they actually go together. And that's why it's called retrouvailles. Retrouvailles means they meet again. This time in heaven. That's why we have these pinkish colors, actually, that made us think of these heavenly constellations that we can see, and the colors and everything plays in heaven. So it's actually good ending, because they can meet forever, just one day, of course, but they can meet. We've been really interested to actually talk about this love story, because it's one of the love stories we always wanted to bring alive. And I think both watches, the rencontre and the retrouvailles, they work really well together, right? Because and this is the way we actually create our watches. So storytelling is not only important, it's the crystallization point, the starting point for our watches.
Yeah, I could listen to the love stories of Raina for ages, really. But we have to move to our next question, probably one of the most important ones. What is the main message from Cleef Arpels contributing to the high watchmaking discussion in 2026?
Yeah. I think it's very important to understand our poetry of time. We try to create watches which have a different aspect to watchmaking, where time is taught through the story. Think about the midnight Jour, Nuit, phase de Lune. So this is a watch where you have 3 different layers of time indication. So you have the classical hour and minute. Behind, you can see the indication of night and day, which is actually, you could take away the hands and it will still perfectly work, because it gives us a different pattern of time recognition. So the night and day, the sun is going up, you're busy, you do your stuff, or moon is going up, you meet people, etc., etc. So, And now we added a third dimension, which is the moon phase. And it's not only the moon phase which is visible. You see, okay, it's half moon, it's full moon, etc. But it's also a different dimension of time because it takes one full moon phase to repeat itself, which is about a month.
Yeah.
So you have hour and minute, night and day, and the month. And our watches invite you to take the time to read the time, because time is the most precious thing we have. So we try to create watches which have a twist to it, where time is not just a measurement. And these watches are very specific pieces of jewelry, because they're all jewels which tell time, but in a very specific way they tell time. So this is actually what we like to contribute, this positive vision of life that we have, that we try to actually represent with our watches and creations.
Yeah, and the positive view of the
Absolutely.
life is very
Yes.
important,
Yeah.
especially nowadays. This is why we love also Van Cleef & Arpels timepieces so much, because it's an amazing storytelling, an amazing idea behind it, but very often highly complicated mechanical movements. This is what you're trying to show, that people can understand your philosophy better. So, Rainer, another amazing interview.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
for
you
your questions, yeah.
for your explanation, for your stories. I would like to wish you a lot of success
you.
also for the next time.
Stay tuned, because we are actually creating at the moment the novelties for the coming years, of course. So I hope to see you again soon, and to talk about what's coming up.
Oh, for sure, for sure. So some insights and preview for next year. No, joking. Yes, for sure. We are following
Excellent.
what you are doing,
Yeah,
and
thank you.
thank you very much,
Thank
Rainer.
you. Thank you.
I would love to hear your opinion on the novelties from Van Cleef & Arpels this year. Please comment, please ask your questions. We will answer them, and stay tuned. Bye-bye.
Bye.